The following review has been approved by Ethel the Cyborg Ninja. Welcome to Classic Game Room. Put down that Walkman and prepare to relive the 90s in style with Pit Fighter on your Atari Lynx. Here I am getting my ass kicked by a woman in high heels and stockings. Normally, you'd have to pay big money for this, so why not save a few bucks and play Pit Fighter on the Atari Lynx? Originally released in 1990 to the arcades, Pit Fighter is famous for being bad, and things don't get much better on the Atari Lynx, but it's one of my guilty pleasure games. I like Pit Fighter. There's just something exhilarating about a bunch of sweaty meatheads beating each other up in a pit. It's like the video game version of Lionheart starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, except far worse. Partly because it doesn't have the Van Damage, also because it just sucks. But the thing with Pit Fighter is that it's so bad it's good. Back in the day, in the early 90s, when I'd go to arcades and my other fighting game options were Street Fighter 2, ever hear of that, and some game called Mortal Kombat, I chose Pit Fighter occasionally, because it was funny, and it was always available. What, there's no line for Pit Fighter? What's wrong with you people? You just mash buttons and slowly walk your sweaty pixelated guy around the pit and punch people. If you get too close to the crowd, they start knifing you and throwing bottles at you and stuff. It's great. I love this game. I actually really want one for my arcade. I have like all these good games. I need one really bad one. I need Pit Fighter. But it's a big arcade machine and it's hard to come by. So hey, how about this smaller version, Pit Fighter on the go, on the Atari Lynx? Yeah, it's a bit laughable these days, but back in the early 90s when the Game Boy was just black and white, the Atari Lynx was color and had Pit Fighter. Not that most people probably cared, but I do. There, did you see that? That nice lady from the crowd came over and started stomping on me. What button gets her phone number? See, I'm showing my age. What do you kids do now? Do you have to ask for like a Facebook ID or Instagram? Hey, I'll Instagram friend you, and then you can look at selfies of me playing Pit Fighter. Yeah! The sound is awful, the video is terrible, the game's not good, and the controls suck, yet it's amazing. It's Pit Fighter. Totally studly. This is an awkward relic from another age, like me. When all of the other cool people have their iPhones out and they're twittering or whatever at the bar, you can break out the Atari Lynx, 12 batteries, and Pit Fighter. This game has street cred, 50 shades of garbage. It's a game you've got to have in your collection somewhere. May I recommend the Sega Genesis version, which is very good, far better than this. The biggest problem on the Lynx, in addition to the screen, is the controls, because you have one button that punches, one that kicks, but then, like, there's these strange option buttons to the right of the screen, one of which grapples, the other rolls or does a special move, and they're really hard to just reach with your thumb when you're playing the game, which isn't a good game anyway, so you really don't need to use them. My recommendation is to avoid this version of the game. If anything, get the Sega Genesis one or hunt down that amazing arcade machine, unless you want to break out Pit Fighter at the bar. Impress the ladies. Wear some acid-washed overalls and you can be like, yo baby, you down with OPPF? Other people's Pit Fighter? On that sad note, I've got a Classic Game Room shout-out and thank you to send to my man Greg from Classic Game Room headquarters, another relic from a distant time and age. He's bringing the links to Dawnsies. It's girls in skirts drink free night. There'll be lots of girls there. Cheryl coming? She bringing Barb? We play Pit Fighter and drink some iron. They got Donny R's on the jukebox.